Hello guys, welcome to Petals of Revenge, where we share stories of justice served and hearts healed. If this story resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share, and comment below with your own experiences. I learned early that love in my family came with conditions. Invisible conditions that somehow never applied to my younger sister Chloe, but governed every breath I took from the moment I could understand disappointment. The kitchen table where we ate dinner every night told the story better than words ever could. Dad at the head, Mom to his right, Chloe directly across from him in the seat of honor, and me tucked into the corner where the light from the chandelier never quite reached. It wasn't intentional, my parents would have said if anyone had asked. It was just how things worked out. But nothing in our house ever just worked out. Everything was calculated, measured, weighed against the scales of worthiness that my parents carried in their heads like secret scorecards. When Chloe turned 16, she got the Honda Civic that had been sitting in the driveway for 3 months, wrapped in a giant red bow on her birthday morning. She squealed and hugged our parents and posted 17 photos on Instagram before she even started the engine. The caption read, "Best parents ever. So blessed." When I turned 16, I got a lecture about responsibility and a bus pass. Chloe earned that car, Mom explained when I asked why the rules were different for us. Her grades, her attitude, her involvement in school activities. You need to focus on building character before you can handle that kind of responsibility. Chloe's grades were B's and C's with the occasional D in mathematics that somehow never resulted in consequences. My grades were A's across the board, had been since elementary school, would continue to be through graduation. But character, apparently, was something else entirely. Character meant accepting that when Chloe broke curfew, she got a gentle talking to about making better choices. When I was 10 minutes late coming home from the library, I was grounded for a week. Character meant watching my parents pay for Chloe's cheerleading uniforms, competition fees, team trips, and summer camps while telling me that part-time jobs built character and I should be grateful for the opportunity to learn the value of money. Character meant sitting quietly while they discussed Chloe's college plans, which schools had the best sorority systems, which ones would give her the full college experience, how they would manage the tuition payments and living expenses for their precious baby girl. What about my college plans? I asked during one of these dinner table discussions, my voice carefully neutral because I had learned that emotion was another luxury reserved for the golden child. Dad looked up from his plate like he had forgotten I existed, which wasn't entirely inaccurate. "You'll figure it out," he said. "You're smart. You'll find scholarships, work-study programs. It'll be good for you to have some skin in the game." Skin in the game. As if watching my sister coast through life on their dime while I scraped together enough money for school supplies wasn't skin enough. But they weren't wrong about one thing, I was smart. Smart enough to understand that complaining would only make things worse, that pointing out the obvious favoritism would be dismissed as jealousy or selfishness. Smart enough to channel that hurt into something productive, even if I didn't fully understand what that meant yet. I got my first job at 14, lying about my age to work weekends at a local diner. The manager, Mrs. Rodriguez, knew I was too young but needed the help and appreciated that I showed up on time, worked without complaining, and never called in sick. She paid me under the table and taught me that reliability was worth more than talent in most situations. By 15, I was working 3 different jobs, the diner on weekends, babysitting for neighbors during the week, and tutoring other students in mathematics and science. My grades never slipped, my responsibilities never faltered, but my resentment grew with every dollar I earned while watching Chloe get handed everything she wanted. The breaking point came during my senior year of high school, when college acceptance letters started arriving. I had applied to 12 schools, all of them requiring separate application fees that I had saved for months to afford. State schools, private colleges, technical institutes, anywhere that might offer me a path forward that didn't depend on my parents' inconsistent definition of worthiness. The first acceptance letter was from State University, my safety school. Full academic scholarship, covering tuition and books, with work-study opportunities for living expenses. I was elated, proud, ready to share the news with my family over dinner. "That's nice, honey," Mom said when I announced my scholarship. "State's a good school. Very practical." Practical. The word stung more than outright dismissal would have. Practical was what you said about things that were useful but not impressive, necessary but not celebrated. What about you, Chloe? Dad asked, turning his attention to my sister who was picking at her food with the distracted air of someone whose biggest worry was which nail polish to wear tomorrow. Have you heard back from any schools yet? Chloe shrugged. A few acceptances. I'm still deciding between State and Riverside College. State would be cheaper, but Riverside has such a cute campus. And their sorority houses are amazing. Riverside College. Private, expensive, prestigious in the way that mattered to people who cared more about image than substance. I had looked at their website once and closed it immediately after seeing the tuition costs. Even with my academic achievements, their financial aid wouldn't cover more than half the expenses. We'll make Riverside work if that's what you want, Dad said immediately. Your mother and I have been saving, and we can take out loans for whatever scholarships don't cover. They had been saving. For Chloe. While I worked 3 jobs and applied for every scholarship I could find, they had been putting money aside for my sister's college experience, planning for her future while leaving me to figure out my own. That night, I sat in my bedroom with my laptop open to scholarship websites and loan applications, surrounded by the sound of my family planning Chloe's college tours and discussing which credit cards offered the best terms for educational expenses. They weren't trying to hurt me, I told myself. They just saw us differently. Chloe needed their help to succeed. I was strong enough to succeed on my own. It took years for me to understand that this wasn't actually a compliment. College was everything they said it would be: difficult, expensive, character building in ways that left permanent marks on your soul. I lived in the cheapest dormitory, worked 25 hours a week in the campus computer lab, and spent my free time learning programming languages that weren't offered in any of my classes. While other students went to parties and football games, I taught myself Python, Java, C++, building skills that I hoped would translate into something marketable after graduation. While my roommates' parents sent care packages and surprise visits, I cobbled together meals from vending machines and campus food banks. Chloe, meanwhile, was having the full college experience that our parents had envisioned. Her Instagram feed was a constant stream of sorority events, spring break trips, and shopping hauls funded by generous parents who wanted their baby girl to enjoy these formative years without the stress of financial worry. She called home every few days to update mom and dad on her social calendar and academic struggles. Math was still hard, science was boring, but her communications major was really fun, and her professors were so understanding when she needed extensions on papers or make-up exams for classes she had missed. I called home once a week, usually on Sunday afternoons when I knew they would be together and could catch up with both parents at once. These conversations followed a predictable pattern. They would ask about my grades, always good, my health, always fine, and my plans, always focused on the future. I would ask about their lives, about Chloe, about anything that might create a connection that felt real rather than obligatory. How's work, Dad? I asked during one of these calls, genuinely curious about the accounting firm where he had worked for 15 years. Oh, he said. Same old numbers, different day. Actually, we might be looking at some changes soon. The firm is restructuring, and they're offering early retirement packages to some of the senior staff. This was news to me, significant news that could affect their financial stability and, by extension, their ability to continue funding Chloe's college experience. But when I asked for more details, Dad brushed off my concerns. Nothing for you to worry about, he said. We'll figure it out. We always do. We'll figure it out. The family, that somehow never included me when it came to major decisions or financial planning, but always included me when it came to expectations of self-sufficiency. It wasn't until my junior year that I started to understand the real cost of their favoritism. Not just the emotional cost, the feeling of being less valued, less supported, less loved, but the practical implications of growing up as the child who was expected to handle everything alone. While I was developing resilience, work ethic, and independence, I was also developing something else, a deep-seated belief that I couldn't rely on anyone else for support.